Florence Scovel Shinn's Your Word is Your Wand. Chapter 5. Loss. If man loses anything, it shows there is a belief of loss in his subconscious mind. As he erases this false belief, the article or its equivalent will appear on the external. For example, a woman lost a silver pencil in a theater. She made every effort to find it, but it was not returned. She denied loss, taking the affirmation, I deny loss, there is no loss in divine mind. Therefore I cannot lose that pencil, I will receive it or its equivalent. Several weeks elapsed. One day she was with a friend who wore around her neck on a cord a beautiful gold pencil, who turned to her and said, Do you want this pencil? I paid $50 for it at Tiffany's. The woman was aghast and replied, almost forgetting to thank her friend, Oh God, aren't you wonderful? The silver pencil wasn't good enough for me. Man can only lose what doesn't belong to him by divine right or isn't good enough for him. There is no loss in divine mind, therefore I cannot lose anything that is rightfully mine. Infinite intelligence is never too late. Infinite intelligence knows the way of recovery. There is no loss in divine mind, therefore I cannot lose anything which belongs to me. It will be restored, or I receive its equivalent. Debt. If a man is in debt or people owe him money, it shows that a belief of debt is in his subconscious mind. This belief must be neutralized in order to change conditions. For example, a woman came to me saying a man had owed her $1,000 for years, which she could not compel him to pay. I said, You must work on yourself, not the man, and gave her this statement. I deny debt. There is no debt in divine mind. No man owes me anything. All is squared. I send that man love and forgiveness. In a few weeks she received a letter from him saying he intended sending the money, and in about a month came the $1,000. If the student owes money, change the statement. There is no debt in divine mind. Therefore I owe no man anything. All is squared. All my obligations are now wiped out, under grace in a perfect way. I deny debt. There is no debt in divine mind. Therefore, I owe no man anything. All obligations are now wiped out under grace in a miraculous way. No man owes me anything. All is squared. I send forth love and forgiveness. Sales. A woman who lived in a country town wished to sell her house and furniture. It was in the winter with snow so deep it was almost impossible for cars or wagons to reach her door. As she had asked God to sell her furniture to the right person for the right place, she was unmindful of appearances. She polished the furniture, pushed it into the middle of the room, and prepared to sell it. She said, I never looked out of the window at the blizzard. I simply trusted God's promises. In miraculous ways, people drove up and all the furniture was sold, and the house also, without paying any commission to an agent. Faith never looks out of the window at the blizzard. It simply prepares for the blessing asked for. Affirmation. I give thanks that this article or property is now sold to the right person or persons for the right price, giving perfect satisfaction. Interviews. There is no competition on the spiritual plane. What is mine is given me under grace. I am identified in love with the spirit of this person or persons. God protects my interests, and the divine idea now comes out of the situation. Guidance. Always on man's pathway is his message or his lead. For example, a woman was much troubled over an unhappy situation. She thought to herself, will it ever clear up? Her maid was standing near and commenced to tell her of her experience. The woman was too worried to be interested, but listened patiently. The maid was saying, I worked in a hotel once where there was a very amusing gardener. He always said such funny things. It had been raining for 3 days, and I said to him, Do you think it will ever clear up? And he replied, My God, doesn't it always clear up? The woman was amazed. It was the answer to her thoughts. She said reverently, Yes, with my God it always clears up. Soon after, her problem did clear up in an unexpected way. Infinite Spirit gave me wisdom to make the most of my opportunities. Never lets me miss a trick. I am always under direct inspiration. I know just what to do and give instant obedience to my intuitive leads. My angel of destiny goes before me, keeping me in the way. All power is given to me to be meek and lowly of heart. I am willing to come last, therefore I come first. I now place my personal will upon the altar. Your will, not my will. Your way, not my way. Your time, not my time. And in the twinkling of an eye, it is done. There are no mysteries in the kingdom. Whatever I should know will now be revealed to me under grace. I am a perfect non-resistant instrument for God to work through, and His perfect plan for me now comes to pass in a magic way. Protection. I am surrounded by the white light of the Christ, through which nothing negative can penetrate. I walk in the light of the Christ, and my feared giants dwindle into nothingness. There is nothing to oppose my good. Memory, affirmation. There is no loss of memory in divine mind. Therefore I recollect everything I should remember, and I forget all the things that are not for my good. The divine design. There is a divine design for each man. Just as the perfect picture of the oak is in the acorn, the divine pattern of his life is in the superconscious mind of man. In the divine design there is no limitation, only health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. So on man's pathway, there is always a divine selection. Each day he must live according to the divine plan or have unhappy reactions. For example, a woman moved into a new apartment which she had almost furnished, when a thought came to her. On that side of the room should stand a Chinese cabinet. Not long after, she was walking by an antique shop. She glanced in, and there stood a magnificent Chinese cabinet, about 8 feet high, elaborately carved. She entered and asked the price. The salesman said it was worth $1,000, but the woman who owned it was willing to take less. The man added, "What will you offer for it?" The woman paused, and the price, $200, came into her mind. So she answered $200. The man said he would let her know if the offer was satisfactory. She did not want to cheat anyone or get anything which was not rightfully hers, so going home she said repeatedly, "If it's mine, I can't lose it, and if it isn't mine, I don't want it." It was a snowy day, and she said she emphasized her words by kicking the snow from left to right, clearing a pathway to her apartment. Several days elapsed when she was notified that the woman was willing to sell the cabinet for $200. There is a supply for every demand, from Chinese cabinets to millions of dollars. Before ye call, I shall answer, but unless it is the divinely selected cabinet or millions, they would never bring happiness. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Psalm 127:1. I let go of everything not divinely designed for me, and the perfect plan of my life now comes to pass. What is mine by divine right can never be taken from me. God's perfect plan for me is built upon a rock. I follow the magic path of intuition and find myself in my promised land under grace. My mind, body, and affairs are now molded according to the divine pattern within. God is the only power, and that power is within me. There is only one plan, God's plan, and that plan now comes to pass. I give thanks that I now bring forth from the universal substance everything that satisfies all the righteous desires of my heart. The divine design of my life now comes to pass. I now fill the place that I can fill and no one else can fill. I now do the things which I can do and no one else can do. I am fully equipped for the divine plan of my life. I am more than equal to the situation. All doors now open for happy surprises, and the divine plan of my life is speeded up under grace. This ends Chapter 5.